Good. Welcome to the video lecture series of wireless cellular and 4G LTE module number 2, lecture number 12. So today we are going to see the another different two mechanisms of the OFDM modulation, that is a TDMA and CDMA, and also how actually the OFDM will work in an LTE system. Okay, so in the previous video lecture we have seen about the OFDM with working with the frequency division multiple access system. Okay, so today we will see about the another two different type of multiple access, which is a time division multiple access and the code division multiple access, which can also be taken it as a CSMA slash CD also. Okay, it's one of the most popular form of a multiple access scheme, which basically used in 3G systems. Okay, now when it comes to the 4G, we are going for the very important type of modulation scheme, which has more benefits, which has more advantages. Okay, and which has more performance system. Okay, increased in the performance system. So that is nothing but your OFDM type of modulation. Okay, so in the time division multiple access, it is again more one of the simplest type of modulation scheme. Okay, multiple access scheme. Okay, so why how can we use this particular modulations multiple access scheme is nothing but uh, what basically happens is in wireless communication system. Okay, there may be possibility that we can make use of both the systems. Okay, either it can be a TDM system or it can be FDMA system. Okay, it is possible, right? We can employ both at the same time. Sometime at the same times you can do it, or either based on the level of the spectrum which we try to share with the other users and the other system. Okay, because a lot of users are available when we go for the communication. Okay, and based on the communication based on the users availability and based on the spectrum. Okay, for example, if we have allocated with 100 gigahertz of spectrum or 100 megahertz of frequency spectrum. Okay, so we can even go for both this multiple access scheme. It is not like I should only make use of the FDMA or I can make use of only TDMA. Okay, it is possible that we can use both the system. Okay, but when it comes to the OFDM cellular system, okay, some type of TDM is very essential. Okay, it means that it is just like a basic requirement. Okay, so that when we go for the transmission of symbols. Okay, when for example, when I try to transmit some kind of an information through a wireless channel, okay, using a wireless communication system. Okay, then I require some kind of single OFDM symbol transmission. Okay, so therefore basically in OFDM system, okay, OFDM cellular system, some degree of TDM is essential. Okay, and further the user will not have the data to send. Okay, so that it is important that the subscriber be dynamically allocated in order to avoid the waste of time. Okay, that is what I said in the even the previous video lecture series, that the instead of transmitting your data symbols or transmitting your information statically, we focus more on dynamically. Okay, because static is nothing but it is a fixed. Okay, so one carrier will be fixed for that particular channel. Okay, so therefore instead of going for the static allocation of the resources, okay, we go for the dynamically allocation of resources, just to avoid the wastage. Okay, what happens is nothing but dynamically is nothing but automatically based on the channel information. Okay, based on the availability of the channel, based on the condition of the channel. Okay, my system will be get updated. Okay, when it comes to statically, it has to be done separately for that, and the time has to be allocated for that static type of updation. So therefore the static TDMA, one figure is shown over here in figure number 4.1. Okay, for that static TDMA methodology, okay, a constant data rate has to be applied, or you can say that a constant data rate will be used for that type of methodology. Okay, when we make use of TDMA. Okay, and there are different types of applications are they associated with such type of multiple access scheme, like we have the voice and streaming of video. Okay, and but when it generally it's a packets based system. Okay, like LTE. Okay, because LTE belongs to the packet switching technology, or you can say packet based system technology. Okay, there are different technologies are also available, like a circuit switching. Okay, we have a message switching, but our focus will be more on the packet based system. Okay, so two examples what we see here is, one is voice, another is nothing but video. Okay, but when you go for the packet mechanism or packet switching technology, okay, basically the packet based system, they belongs to the computer communication network method, computer communication uh, a theory part. Okay, where the scheduling of the time or the algorithms are there. Okay, like just what we have seen in the previous video lecture about the aloha and the pure aloha, right? Some kind of acknowledgement has to receive by the transmitter in order for the confirmation of your symbol which is sent. Okay, so if that particular acknowledgement is not received, then we go for the retransmission of our data. And if the retransmission is happening, we may say that the performance of the system will be better. Okay, and we can avoid such kind of packet loss also. Okay, so therefore in those context of that TDMA and the packet switching methodology, okay, the static TDM is often called as round robin scheduling. Okay, it is also called as round robin scheduling. Each user has to wait for some amount of time and then transmits. Okay, so if there is a wait time which is allocated either in terms of microseconds or in terms of the milliseconds or sometimes in the terms of the nanoseconds, then there is a possibility that your data will not be get overlapped or your signal will not be get overlapped. Okay, so if you just look at this particular figure number 4.1 which we have seen in here, let me show you the figure number 4.1. Okay, so in this particular figure number 4.1 you can see, okay, so time allocation based on the time the users are being allotted with the blocks. So user 1 has own time, user 2 has its own time, user 3 also has its own time, and each user has a block of subcarriers. Okay, each user has a block of subcarrier. This is in the figure number A, and if you look at in the figure number 2, each user block of subcarriers has its own subscribers, or you can say that own users, like you can allocate for a long amount of time. Okay, so this is how we go for the time division multiple access scheme. Okay, we have the another type of mechanism here which is nothing but the code division multiple access scheme. Okay, basically this CDMA is used for in the 3G cellular system. Okay, and it was been like in 2009 it was been developed. Okay, but not particularly, but for the low data rate we focus more on the high speed data. That is why we say it is used in the 3G systems, not in the 2G systems. Okay, so when it comes to the 3G system, we require a high speed of data. You can just practically compare the SIM cards which we used to have during the 3G systems, and now when you compare with the 4G system, the speed of internet is very fast. Why? Because of this particular type of multiple access scheme which is used in the 3G system, and now which is used in the 4G, which is nothing but we also call it as LTE. You can just look at your cell phones at the top right corner, it is written as volt simply, right? So it has a very high speed of data rate, and when it comes to the high speed data rate, it means that we have a larger bandwidth. Okay, the bandwidth of that particular mechanism is large, such that the data rate which we try to make use is nothing but it will try to suppress the interferences. Okay, try to suppress the interferences, nothing but because it's a wireless type of communication, because your channel is wireless. Okay, it has to take care of the channel conditions such that the interferences which occur in the wireless channel will be suppressed to some kind of extent. Okay, so there is can be another problem which may occur, that is called as the spreading of the spectrum. Okay, it has to be considerably accepted such that when it, even though it occurs, okay, then we need to try to have the performance of the system better at that time, at the receiver type. Okay, so therefore the nominally CDMA broadband standards that are also available, which is called as HSDPA, that is high speed data packet access. Okay, and EXEV DO. Okay, basically we make use of this particular type of HSDPA type of mechanisms or a standard in LTE system. Okay, where the spreading of your spectrum will be reduced to some factors. Okay, or simply you can say that an each user will employ multiple codes at the same time. Instead of having the single code, you go for the multiple codes. Okay, and all the multiple codes may have the same amount of data or the same data. Okay, so therefore we here when it is compared with the TDMA as well as the CDMA, or it can be multi-code CDMA. Okay, the user must take user must take turns transmitting based on your scheduling the objectives like the channel conditions and latency. Okay, so if you look at this figure, how the CDMA can be represented over here is nothing but in terms of blocks. Okay, so this is the first block, has first code. Okay, code number 1, it can be code number 2, this can be code number 3, 4, and it can be 5. But you can see the spectrum which all the users have is the same spectrum. They have the same spectrum, they have the same time, but the only thing is the users are different. So in figure number 4.2, the CDMA users, they share the common time. Okay, because we don't have a separate time, because time is only one which is allocated for that particular frequency band or the spectrum band. So in that time only, and in that particular frequency slot, okay, the code has to be allocated for each user separately, not same. So code user 1 has one code, 2 will have the different code, 3 may have the different code. Okay, so this is how the mechanism of the code division multiple access scheme happens in this CDMA. Now, what do you mean by the orthogonal frequency division multiplexing? Is nothing but it's a type of one type of modulation multiple access scheme. OFDMA it is. Okay, that is OFDM is orthogonal frequency modulation, but here it is a multiple access scheme. Okay, this is the apart from TDMA, CDMA and FDMA, we have the one more type of the mechanism that is called as OFDMA, that is multiple access scheme. Okay, and this will be used in our LTE scheme, or you can say LTE mechanism. Okay, and how it actually works is basically we have one system for that particular OFDMA to work. Okay, and in that OFDMA, you can see here there are figure number 4.4 and 4.5. In 4.4, you can see that OFDM as a downlink receiver. Okay, basically what happens is we have the two different type of we have two different ends, right? One, if I say the uplink will be call it as the transmitter end, and the downlink will let us call it as a receiver end, right? So the communication will happen through the transmitter, and the data will be enter into the receiver like this. Okay, or you can put the sign like this also. So this is our receiver, and this part will be our output part, and this is our input part. So user 1 will be applied at this particular end, and the user 1 again at the receiver side will be received at this particular point. Okay, and let us see how what basically this terminal or this particular mechanism, how this will work. So when it comes to OFDMA mechanism, okay, we consider this system to accept for k users. K user means the number of user can vary from 0 to n-1, and which shares the L subcarriers, and each will be allocated with again different type of subcarriers, each mk. For example, I have a k subscriber, and again in that k subscriber, if I have some kind of different again small subscribers, then that will be allocated with the mk subscribers. Okay, and the method which we make use of in this particular OFDM is nothing but by making use of mapped users. We will try to just map the user with that subscriber. Okay, so subscriber 1 will be mapped with user 1 will be mapped with subscriber 1, user 2 will be mapped with the subscriber 2. Okay, but they will not be specified by the LTE standards. Okay, there are some general principles are used for the allocation of those particular subscribers. Okay, but once an user 1 is assigned with one particular subscriber, then again it will not be reassigned. Okay, so once it is assigned, it is understood that it is meant for that particular subscriber only. Okay, so here in LTE system, okay, so if you look at here in this particular block diagram, each user, okay, they cares only about the MK subscribers. Okay, so for example, if I have an user number 1 to till user number k, okay, and each user will have its own block of processing. Okay, you can see own block of processing mechanism. So again, the type of modulation we make use is the quadrature amplitude modulation. Okay, this is serial to parallel converter. Okay, because the bits which are received is all single. So this can be 1, this can be 2, and this can be, for let me call it as K. Okay, so 1 to K. So all this will be converted from single to parallel bits. Okay, and then the subcarriers are being mapped for each parallel bits. Okay, or each user one. You can say, for example, the whole block is a user number 1 block. So for this user number 1 block, a subcarrier will be mapped. So for this, second subcarrier will be mapped, and for this, the kth subcarrier will be mapped. And then all the different types of subcarriers, like 1, 2 till the k subcarriers, are act as an input to the inverse fast Fourier transform. Okay, so once the inverse fast Fourier transforms is done, then again they have to be converted back to serial format, and then they are added to the channel part. Okay, or you can say the end part. So at each user, the user cares only about its own subcarriers. It will not bother about what is happening in the carrier number 2, but still has an up. But still, even if it is not bothering, for example, the 2 is not bothering about the 1, and the 2 is not bothering about the k, but this 1 and this k, again they are combinedly together, they are applied at the inverse fast Fourier transform. Okay, because to be received the digital waveform, in order to extract the desired subset of the subcarriers, I don't know, okay, that whether it belongs to 1, whether it belongs to 2, or whether it belongs to k. Okay, so because I have different types of users which are coming into this particular subsystem, so all together are applied to a common FFT algorithm just to extract the exact answer or the exact desired digital information. Okay, but the receiver has to know which time frequency resources has been allocated. That is what the important. It has to know the time frequency allocated in order to extract the correct subcarriers. Okay, and again we have a controlling signal that achieves this. How actually this will happen? Okay, so thus in OFDM, the downlink receiver must mostly demodulate the entire waveform. This is the whole process of demodulation. Okay, this is the whole process of demodulation. This is at the receiver side. Okay, which demodulate the entire waveform, which where the wastage of power is happening. But because of the digital separation of the single users or separate users, there may be possible that we may try to encounter with a very low interference noise ratio, or it can very low interferences. When it is again, when you try to compare with the CDMA, when you try to compare with the OFDM, FDMA, okay, because they make use of the analog filters, but here we make use of digital filters. Okay, that is why we say it is quadrature amplitude modulation. That is nothing but, again, we have different types. We have a PSK, we have ASK, okay, we have FSK, okay, we have OF. The very best is nothing but OFDM. Okay, so this is how the receiver part will work when it is compared with the different types of mechanisms. Okay, now we have the another type of mechanism over here, which is nothing but it's receiver part. Okay, what is happening at the receiver part is exactly at the reverse part, Okay, so OFDM downlink receiver for user 1, this is a separate part. Okay, and for each k active users, okay, who have been designed with the orthogonal type of an assignment, have different receivers only to detect MK subcarriers. This is again more simple, because this is the whole complete downlink transmitter, one complete block. This is for user ones. Okay, for only user 1. So it has to remove the CPs. Okay, like we have the parity bits, we have check bits. Okay, it has to remove. Then we go for serial to parallel conversion, then apply the FFT. Okay, then demodulate, then we try to estimate the channel by extracting the symbols. Okay, then again we convert it to parallel to serial, and then we try to detect the bits for the user number 1. Okay, and similarly when we go for the transmission, so your user number 1 will be applied to the FEC, then we go for modulation, we go for serial to parallel conversion, again applying the subcarriers mappers. Okay, then we go for IFFT, parallel to serial converter, this. So It is almost like this is for the multiple users and this is for single users. Okay, and this is the uplink receiver. The figure which I have shown in figure number 4.3 is nothing but 4.6 for the uplink receiver. So this two you can map. Okay, this is uplink receiver. So here you can map. Here you can map it. Okay, how this is how we try to detect here. Okay, here actually this is not the figure. You can see this part, downlink receiver and its reverse part here. Okay, so this is how we go for the conversion of your transmitter and the receiver part. Again, it's very simple. You can see removing the CP, serial to parallel conversion, apply the FFT, try to demodulate. Okay, then equalize with one equalizer. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and K parallel to serial conversion, and try to detect the bits which we have transmitted by the transmitter part. Okay, so one example over here it is shown for the fraction of the difference of carriers. Okay, so in OFDM, the base station allocates each user a fraction of subscribers, preferably in the range where they have a strong channel. So when you go out of channel, we cannot do it. Okay, so I will end up with this topic of OFDM and its transmitter and the receiver part. So in the next video lecture series, we'll go for the another different type of the mechanism of OFDM. Thank you.